Security agents entered my room in Kisumu and bagged it, and one of them tried to poison my food. In Nyeri, another team from the National Intelligence Service came to Nyeri and tried to poison food that was meant for me and Kikuyu Council of Elders.
Right, that is the impeached deputy president there speaking about situation and things that may have happened in August and September. And we were here with the panelists, Senator Dan Manzo, Mheshimiwa Nelson Koech, Mheshimiwa Njeri Maina, and Senator Danson Mungatana. And I'll get to you, Honorable Maina, shortly. But Honorable Koech, there's something I wanted you to just tell us about, because you're saying that he's seeking sympathy. But why was his security withdrawn? All of them.
That is an allegation that he's making. Okay.
He said that his home in Karen, his home in Mathira, the security officers that were with him while in hospital were withdrawn.
But he's also at the same time saying that the security agencies tried to poison him. So which one is which? I mean, it really has to be clear. Why will you want security?
Which you said is sympathy seeking.
If you are saying your security has been withdrawn,
yeah.
On the other hand, you're saying the security agencies that you have want to poison you.
So the question is, why was his security withdrawn?
In my view, right now, I mean, for all purpose and intent, if you asked me today, I don't see why his security, there must have been, his security was withdrawn, if you asked me. Number two, in my view, again, I don't consider him a deputy president anymore. So like any other Kenyan, we all must subject ourselves to...
But shouldn't former state officers be accorded security, at least to the level of deputy president?
But if he has a problem with them, what do you do, Sam? I mean, I'm sure the security
I'm asking. I mean, rules and procedure are emotionless, aren't they?
They are.
So shouldn't the government protect the former deputy president?
It is a concern, and I hope Honorable Njeri can raise that in a matter and issue in Parliament. But if you asked me, as a person who also cares about the former deputy president,
yeah.
I will say that since he's accused the same security agencies of trying to kill him and poison him, it is just safe that you keep off the security from him so that he is safe and you keep him out of.
So how does that secure him, really, Mheshimiwa Koech?
Sam, you played a video.
Yeah.
It is not, by the way, let me tell you, this is not a light issue.
Yeah.
What the deputy president is raising. It is very concerning. So that today, if he is found actually to have said what is not true, then, in my view, he should never have security. Because if you raise a substantial statement attacking our security agencies, it is not something very small.
Okay.
These are the people who have guarded him all this time. He had more than 100 security officers.
Is it in the public interest to have Rigathi Gachagua safe?
It is. It is in public interest to have him safe.
Mheshimiwa Njeri, you wanted to respond?
I want to respond to quite a number of issues, starting with what Senator Mungatana raised. You know, he has claimed on national television that he received information that the deputy president had been advised to disappear or make sure that he doesn't attend the Senate proceedings, because apparently, according to him, he purportedly was very wary of cross-examination. And I just really want to say, and Senator Mungatana is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. He knows that any person who alleges must prove. And if indeed he did receive that communication, it would be fair for him to tell us on national television who he received it from, so that we know whether it is a credible source. Because even under the rules of engagement in regard to the media, you must disclose your sources. Was it a whistleblower? Who was it? Was it a government agent? Was it a security attaché to the deputy president? Another thing that has been raised here. Yep. We are in a country where it has been documented that 136 persons are still missing from, or rather at the point of the onset of the finance bill protests. It is a very grave issue the deputy president raised in regard to concerns for his security, and I believe a person of such stature would not raise it without due reason and without having considered the impact it would have to this nation. I mean, it is public information also and public knowledge that we have had politicians who have died in mysterious circumstances. The death of the likes of George Saitoti, a very prolific politician who was on the rise, the deaths of Ora Ojode, deaths of people who fought for democracy in Kenya, the likes of Bishop Muge. We have Matiba, who was poisoned during the Moi regime. So let us not lie to each other and pretend that these things do not happen. They do happen. So the Deputy President has all the rights to feel that he needs to fear for his life. And what I want to say about him raising this issue about the children of the family, I mean, the current president is on record. When he was deputy president, at an address, I can't remember the point in time, but I believe it was near the elections, addressing the president at the time, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, telling him, do not kill my children. So, I mean, so when Rigathi Gachagua raises it, it is a very invalid point. Or what is the rationale, at which point, and what measure are my colleagues using to say that if Rigathi Gachagua raises it, it is not a valid concern. But then if other people raise it, it is a valid concern. I believe that clip also is available in the archives of Citizen TV, because we're speaking to facts. Let's not lie to each other or lie to the public here. The issue of the Deputy President executing his duties, he is an assistant to the President. One of the controverted issues that was canvassed heavily, even on media stations, was in regard to his shareholding comments. But the Deputy President even adduced a document where the President has appended his signature and where shareholding has been documented and evidence of fruits of the same can be seen right now in regard to Ford Kenya.
But now he's the one caught.
Sorry?
He's the one caught, not the President.
No, he's the one caught, but I am telling you, my colleague here alluded that he has been speaking out of context. But you cannot say or allege that if I am an assistant to the President and I say what the President has executed, I am merely doing my duty of assisting the President canvass.
Was he asked to speak about them?
Well, that is the...
Because when you're an assistant...
You know, I would not want to make the same mistake my colleague here did. I believe that is a question that you should direct to the Deputy President, and you should have directed to him when you had to sit down with him.
Really, you're defending him. Well, he never gave me that answer. You're defending him.
Did you ask? Did you ask?
It never came up.
And also, Sam, just to wind it up...
Sorry, I know what you're trying to do, but...
No, just to wind it up, allow me to say...
If indeed, I'm still with you, if indeed there were poisoning attempts, like Honorable Koech says, did he report?
I would also need to ask him that question. But Sam, I remember seeing, I think it was a Nation newspaper or a Standard. There's a column where they say that, you know, they've gotten intel from apparently intelligence and all that. And on that column, they say that a senior public official has been wary of taking tea. And I believe I'll retrieve it for you. I believe it was either in the Nation
what does that one say?
It was alluding to in context that someone senior in government is very worried about being poisoned by people around him, and that they're not even taking tea in state events or in closed-door meetings. So
that was Rigathi Gachagua?
No. I'm just telling you that there was information in regard to that. You know, even my colleague said he had received some information, and you did not tell him to show us who he received it from. So I'm just telling you. Now that we can see this, you know, you add 1 + 1 and the story adds up. Sam, as I wind up, I want to mention the issue that was raised according... in regard to the medical situation of the DP at the time. And I want to ask my colleague, does he believe that an ambulance would be faster than a motorcade of a sitting deputy president? He'll answer. And then, you know, let's not lie to each other. We don't have medical eyes. I'm here on this show, and I can tell you I'm on heavy pain medication. My colleagues here would tell people outside if we go that we were with Honorable Njeri Maina, she was in good health, she was laughing, you know, she was chatting animatedly. Let us not pretend that
That's an example, it's not the real situation.
It's exactly the real situation. I'm on heavy pain medication.
Sorry about that.
But you see, you can all not tell. So let us not pretend that we have medical eyes. Just because someone is sat next to me, that I can presume they are in good health, or that something might not happen to their health in the next minutes. And fair hearing, Article 50 of the Constitution of Kenya, Article 145.5, the president shall, it says shall, and shall means must. The deputy president, at any given point, he did not say that he is not willing to appear in person. As a matter of fact, his counsels, I am aware, had written to Senate indicating that the deputy president will be appearing in person. He was unable to because he fell ill. Even the courts of law, Sam, if you go to Milimani law courts right now and your counsel tells the sitting or presiding magistrate or judge that my client is unwell, I am taking due consideration. So Senate failed to accord the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya a fair hearing. And allow, my senior, allow me kindly to finish. Senate failed
to defeat the extension of time to Saturday.
But there was no extension of, if you read 145, it says 145 4B. Report to the Senate within 10 days. It is a report that has a time constraint of 10 days.
That's where
whether it finds the particulars.
That's a situation where there's a special committee.
But they chose to sit in plenary, so the same applies. So you want to tell me they vacate following the Constitution because they sit as a special committee? No, they do not. And another thing, Sam, this is an issue that will be canvassed in the courts of law, and my senior here is well aware of the same, that they were not restrained in regard to time. It was illusional. It was a making of the Senate to deny the deputy president fair hearing and ensure they rushed the process.
I hear you. So, Senator Mongata, I'll give you a rate of reply of 1 minute because I need to hear from Senator Manzo.
Just very quickly, fair hearing Article 50, it gives you the right, Sam, to, now that is the right of an accused person. You have a right to defend yourself by taking an oath. And that is a sworn statement. You have that, and that it carries very heavy probative weight. Okay? You also have a right to give an unsworn statement. That means your statement will not have as much probative weight, that is a weight of evidence, as opposed to the one of the sworn statement. And then you have a right to keep quiet. You have a right to keep quiet. Those are the three, all of us about to look at Unangalia,
That's not in Article 50. That one is a criminal proceeding.
No, it is actually in Article 50. Read it. I'll challenge you. I've read it. Now, Sam, let me tell you, Mama Kai, Ojwang, they educated us on the way. Utasimama pale kizimbani, useme ujitetee ukiwa kizimbani, ukiwa wapi. They were talking about sworn, unsworn, and the right to keep silent.
All right.
As a way of defense. Now, Deputy President, former Deputy President had filed sworn statements. Okay? They had filed sworn statements. And there was an option to proceed with the sworn statements. Deputy President had also a right to keep quiet or give an unsworn statement. Remember, when he came to the Senate, he was read charges as an accused person. And he let me just say, on fair hearing, we gave him really, honestly, we gave him the right.
Okay, all right. Senator Manzo, tell us, because you are in the Senate with Senator Mungatana there. What was the mood of the House shortly after the communication that the Deputy President was not going to appear because he was unwell?
Well, Paul Moito was given time to find out the details, which he reported back to the Senate. And there arose an issue that these are time-bound proceedings. And therefore, the Speaker communicated we have up to Saturday. And therefore asked the House to vote whether we will give time or not. And the House voted that they don't want to give him time. And therefore, then, that meant his right to be heard then was denied, and he has not been heard in person. You remember in the National Assembly, he was sworn and gave his testimony as a sworn person, meaning he wants to go to the maximum route where you can, the veracity can be verified, and want to be as much truthful as possible. And therefore, to me, he has been denied the opportunity to be heard, and the Constitution said must, is a must.
But when the House takes such a decision, I mean, who do you fault now? Because, like he says, Senate has the right to make a decision on whether to sit on a different day.
You know, the decisions made by Parliament can be faulted by the people affected by them, and that's why there is the avenue to court, including acts of Parliament which are passed by the Senate. They are nullified if they are unconstitutional. So the voting of the Senate was unconstitutional, and I'm sure to be found so when the matter goes.
So what was the alternative in such a situation?
The alternative was patience and to give him time to
That's what I'm saying, because the Speaker read communication and he instructed that the House was going to take a vote, and the vote was negative. What was the alternative?
The moment the vote is negative, now you can only go to court. The moment,
the Speaker have the power
the Speaker was, no, the Speaker was very fair. The decisions belong to the House. They don't belong to the Speaker. And therefore, he allowed the House to fry itself. And to make a right decision or a wrong decision. It made a wrong decision, and that decision is now challengeable in a court of law. And therefore, the courts can nullify what Senate did. And that's why in the first instance, when this went before the Constitutional Court, the Constitutional Court said whatever happened in the Senate has been, has been stayed, therefore meaning the decision of the Senate could be unconstitutional, and therefore they want to be given an opportunity to come and explain themselves. And that's why now the swearing in of a new deputy president was stayed, meaning Rigathi Gachagua today is still a deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. Even if he is impeached, the impeachment is a nullity if the impeachment was arrived at.
So let me ask you, what is your reading of the Constitution when it says that the Senate shall take a vote, and if by 2/3 majority they approve the impeachment, he shall cease to hold office?
Exactly. As soon as you cease to hold office, it doesn't mean that's a decision now of the Senate.
Yeah.
If you don't challenge it, then it stays. If you challenge it in a court of law, it can be annulled. And once it is annulled, you go back to...
So as we are speaking here, what is Rigathi Gachagua?
As he is now today.
Yeah.
So long as the decision of the Senate is a nullity in law, he's still the deputy
There's no
president.
finding of nullity.
Please allow me to read
It's going to be. It's going to be. She will.
Sorry, as you
speak.
As you speak.
Suppose the court now, as you speak today, because that's why a new one was not sworn in.
No.
And the reason they wanted to swear in a new one quickly was to defeat the ends of justice. So, it was not done in good faith.
So, Senator Manzo, what is Rigathi Gachagua today?
Today? Yeah. He's still the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya.
Okay.
Some appreciation of all of us.
Yeah. Up to when the courts now remove the orders.
And the viewers, just allow me to read Justice Chacha Mwita's order.
Okay.
Order number 3. That in the meantime, due to the issues raised in the petition and application, and the agency demonstrated a conservatory order, and council knows conservatory orders are 360, is hereby issued, staying implementation of the resolution by the Senate. The resolution by the Senate, let us walk together, is stayed. The resolution was to impeach.
No, you left a word, implementation.
No, I'm continuing. Yes. Resolution by the Senate upholding the impeachment charges against the petitioner, the Deputy President of Kenya, including appointment of his replacement until 24th October 2024, when the matter will be mentioned before the bench to be appointed by the Chief Justice for appropriate orders and action. So as up to now, status quo is maintained. Status quo is that Rigathi Gachagua, His Excellency, is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya unless and until these orders are vacated. I can read you the other order.
Sorry.
You can hear the other court order.
I thought in your reading you said what is being stated is the implementation.
Yes.
And so you can't
Not
implement
the decision of the Senate.
Yes.
Let me read you the next order.
Can I
no, hold on.
Yes.
Let me look for it.
Let me
go ahead, Senator.
There is no court that can give a conservative, order for status quo ante. As in, something has already happened. You can't say we resume back to the conservatory orders are for status quo from where we are now, going forward.
Don't want to swear.
Wait.
Swear him.
No, wait.
Sorry, Senator.
Because now you're haranguing me and I might start doing the same. So let's not go to factory settings. Let's just do the correct thing because we are in front of the people here. You give the conservatory order as from where we are going forward. You cannot say you ex parte, without the hearing of any other person, you say that decision is nullified. Or I think there's a question of interpretation here that is a problem. That decision, that resolution stands today. The Deputy President is impeached. Is an impeached Deputy President. There's no way a court sitting alone, ex parte, can say, no, he is not impeached. Until now we revert back to status quo ante without the hearing of another or the other side. So let us not confuse the public. The guy is a raia, and that is why he doesn't fly a flag as of today, and correctly so.
Should he have security?
He doesn't fly a flag.
Should he have security?
Now, the issue of security, it is not me who decides. The Inspector General of Police is the person who decides who needs security, who doesn't need security.
All right.
And as a raia, if I feel threatened, Sam, even you can go here to Kilimani police station and say, I have received threats of whatever, give me security. They will give you security. But if you go there to Kilimani police station and say, nyinyi watu wa security ndio mnataka kuniua, and then at the same time you are saying, give me security, they will chase you away.
All right.
But that's not my decision. That is Inspector General's.
Okay.
She was to read something.
Did you find it?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
And I believe that counsel is being mischievous with his interpretation. And it's good that he has said it is subject to interpretation, because his could be wrong, mine could be wrong, his could be right, mine could be right. So let us agree that we leave it to the courts, but status quo was maintained. In my opinion, he is the Deputy President.
All right. Okay. Now, I'll get back to you, Honorable Coach. But, Senator, I wanted you to conclude on something. When the House decided not to have a special committee, what timelines were supposed to apply?
As soon as you don't have a House committee, then it means you have a committee of the whole House. And it means then the proceedings are time-bound. And from the interpretation which the Speaker arrived at, we had 2 more days. But the House decided to be impatient, and not because the decision to impeach Gachagua was predetermined by the government. They decided, the members decided they cannot be patient. And the moment they made that decision, then that can only be subject now to the courts, so that the courts can determine whether the House made a right decision or a wrong decision under the Constitution. And therefore, everything we do at the House, we are subject to be checked by the courts. The courts now should interpret whether we apply the Constitution.
I'm struggling with Article 145, Article 4, a special committee appointed under Clause 3B. And 3B is, the Senate by resolution may appoint a special committee comprising 11 members to investigate the matter. So everything else from then on is referring to the 11-member committee. No, it doesn't exist. It's a committee of 67, or the whole House, if you like. You still continue to apply those provisions?
That's where the interpretation is going to come to court, whether we were now time-bound or not. But of course, the proceedings should be expedited. They should not be delayed unnecessarily.
So did the House receive a report of investigation?
No, it did not.
So how do you process that in a whole House?
And this could be some of the loopholes in the Constitution. What has been happening of late is that the special committee move or proposal is not getting a seconder. At the moment a motion doesn't get a seconder in the House, it's dropped.
Okay.
And therefore we result into a committee of full House, of which then, from the laws we have, it doesn't now give the timelines. And I think when we make arguments in court, the courts will find out whether Senate was wrong, and in future, what should happen, because this is uncharted territory. This is totally new. It has never happened under the new Constitution. It's happening now. We have taken it to court. We want the court to interpret the Constitution for us so that we have a reasoned judgment and a place. And I believe this will go all the way to the Supreme Court, so that we could have a settled position on all these interpretations.
All right.
You asked a question about special committee. I just want to answer that quickly.
Okay.
You asked whether there was a report to the House. And Honorable Senator Manzo has told you there was no report. Now, the reason is very simple. A special committee or any committee of the House, it works on behalf of the entire House. It's like we give you the opportunity to go and investigate a matter, and then that is when a report is supposed to be given back to your employer, the entire Senate. Okay? But where we say that we will investigate this matter ourselves, there's no need of a report. So I was just, clearing that point. That
so how did the House assess substantiation?
If it's a whole, if it's the House listening to its report, it's like you want to send someone to go and find out something for you. And then instead of now doing it, you go yourself. So when you go yourself, you don't need to report to yourself again. Okay. I don't know if you get it.
No, I get you.
So that is
how did the House assess whether the grounds had been substantiated?
Okay, let me tell you how we assessed. We received evidence from the side. The National Assembly was the prosecutor. They adduced evidence trying to substantiate 11 charges. The former president, the deputy president, was also represented. He was the one standing accused. He also gave evidence in terms of his own assessment together with the affidavits and so on.
Right.
So as we were listening, the examination, the cross, and then the other side through their affidavits, which we have been reading from the time it was filed, we assessed. You know, when you sit in the court and you ask the court, how do you reach this conclusion? The court looks at the probative value of the evidence before it. Now, we had 11 charges, Wana Sam, and what we then assessed, we said 6 of those charges were not meeting the threshold in our own assessment, but 5 of them met the threshold. And remember, the threshold. What threshold? The threshold is there's the threshold of beyond reasonable doubt, and the other threshold of on a balance of probabilities. But this threshold is in between. So the courts have said this is the threshold, and for most of us senators, we felt that 6 charges didn't meet the threshold.
Right.
But 5 charges met the threshold. And
that decision was made through the vote?
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask a question to the senators.
Can we listen to what the president said? Because I want us also to transition. The president was at the Mashujaa Day, largely kept off the conversation about the impeachment, but he said the following in regards to Mashujaa of back in the day.
In confronting colonialism, Mekatilili Wamenza did not seek to free her village or region from occupation by a community. Instead, she resisted the structures and institutions of a system of exploitation and tyranny in the knowledge that defeating it would free a whole nation. Any formula seeking to exclude, alienate, or disenfranchise any person, group of community for any reason is repugnant to the very essence of our nationhood.
That was the president in Kwale, celebration of the Mashujaa Day. for this year. And, of course, Rigathi Gachagua was not present. He was in hospital, but said something that there were attempts to make sure that he doesn't get to Kwale. Watch this.
There was concerted effort that I should not go to Kwale for the celebration. Wilson Airport were told that I should not go through Wilson Airport. All owners of helicopters were told that I should not be allowed to use any of them to go to Kwale.
Mheshimiwa Koech, was there any fear, I'll get back to you, Honorable Jerry, was there any fear that Rigathi Gachagua was going to show up?
But honestly, Sam,
yeah.
Honorable Rigathi Gachagua was in hospital. Now, how will he, what time was that when that clip, when he came out to have an interview with the media?
It was on Sunday in the afternoon.
Sunday in the afternoon. What time was the celebration?
It had ended just before 1 o'clock.
Honestly, sometimes let's not be very sensational on things that we say. Who had an interest in doing that? The airspace ordinarily is closed during such celebrations because we have the jets that are flying during Mashujaa Day and many other public celebrations.
So the airspace is closed
for 5 minutes.
Not the country.
Yeah.
I don't know where he wanted to fly to at that time, but the function was over. I sympathize with the Deputy President, and he was in hospital. And for me, I don't think that is a fair statement.
Question is, was there any intention not to have Rigathi Gachagua in Kwale?
I'm not aware at all. In fact, there was. I don't know if you can play the clip, and you'll see that there was actually a space for the Deputy President. If you had
just come and sit.
If there was if you wanted to attend, there's no problem. I mean, this is a public function. Anyone will have attended. Everyone is invited and encouraged to attend.
Why would he have sat?
Such celebrations.
If he came, why would he have sat?
At that point, I don't know. The protocol will have ushered him into. I mean, even we in Parliament, when we go to such function, we don't know where we are going to be sat. But there are protocol officers who will usher you.
Which protocol? At the time that officers.
There's parliamentary protocol. There's government protocol. There's protocol of all kinds, and there's security that ushers in the public.
108 officers that worked for the Deputy President have been sent on compulsory leave. Who was going to do the protocol for him?
No, as it stands now, Sam, I don't know if you've forgotten what I told you.
Yeah.
The Deputy President stands impeached.
So he cannot come to Kwale?
He cannot. He cannot perform any duty of a Deputy President. And let even forget about law now. Let me just for a moment ask this question, Sam. And let's make it very casual, okay? The Deputy President has indicated that there's huge hostility against him from the government, like he says.
Yeah.
This I will want to use an analogy of marriage. Kama umekataliwa as a spouse, umekataliwa, hata uende kwa nyumba gani, urudi kwa wazazi, uende kwa waganga, ufanye nini, ndoa haiwezi rudishwa. Kama mmoja wenu amekataa kwamba nyumba hii, sisi, we are not in marriage anymore. Let us be as practical as that. Even in ruling, even in courts, even when they are making a decision of a marriage that is irretrievably broken, there are things that they look at. Look at the tone of the Deputy President. He has said himself that this government want to kill him. Why will you be in a hurry to go back to where death is? It will be safe staying away from that government. In my view, forget about the law, forget about what has happened. In my view, Sam, it is done. Finito, finished, complete. He should just succumb to his fate, take some time, reflect, and, look at his steps. And see
what if the court finds otherwise?
The court can never the court can never reinstate. This is a process. There's no way a court can want to interfere on a constitutional process. He has used a constitutional discretion.
What do you mean?
What if it is unconstitutional?
No, he has used a constitutional position to go to court.
What if they find fault in the process?
If they can never. They can only, probably the best thing that probably they can do is to pay him, to ask the government to pay him damages.
What do you mean?
Yes,
Governor Obora
never. Let me tell you, even the court, beyond law,
ended up serving a whole 10 years.
I'm not a lawyer, but beyond law, I'm assuming that the courts will actually look at, is it still practical for these two to work together? Is there synergy?
Sorry, let me take you back. You've just said that katika ndoa, kama umekataliwa, umekataliwa.
Yes.
So the president has rejected
Gachagua. The Deputy President himself has said that this government are frustrating him, that the security agencies want to poison him, that he sleeps, wherever he goes to sleep,
who has rejected
he's being
Gachagua?
bagged. That when he goes to sleep, he's being bagged. Some people in Nyeri want to poison him. I don't know.
I'm staying with your analogy of marriage.
Yeah.
Who is rejecting who here? President William Ruto impeached Deputy President Gachagua.
No, if Parliament, there's nothing to do with the president here. Parliament, in this wisdom, has
you're not hearing me.
2/3 of the number.
Okay, let me start with Gachagua. Between impeached Rigathi Gachagua and President William Ruto, who has rejected who, if you had to use the analogy of marriage?
The president has never spoken on this issue. In fact, more information that we've
Meaning
seen
he wouldn't mind
if
Gachagua was reinstated.
Has come out from the deputy president himself. He has said he's a son of Mamau, and no one can dare him.
So does that mean? Sorry, Honorable Coach. Does that mean if the courts find fault in the process, and Rigathi Gachagua returns to the office, does that mean President William Ruto would find it quite cordial to work with him?
The environment is extremely toxic. He's accused the National Intelligence Service. He's accused the security agencies. He's accused ministers. He's accused members of parliament. He's called names to National Assembly. He's actually called us the theater of the absurdity. I mean, he has used all names. He has insulted the judiciary.
All right.
He has made very, very unforgivable remarks.
Let's take a look at the feedback that has come to us. Then shortly we'll listen to what the Deputy President feels about the new nominee. On X at Citizen TV Kenya, at Sam Gichuku, the hashtag to use is Citizen Daybreak. What you're saying this morning, Ben, you're saying that preparing one's job application documents in anticipation of a position that may fall vacant is not against the Constitution. Atanas Mavuti kindly inform Senator Manzo, who is also my county senator, this. Within 14 days after a vacancy in the office of the Deputy President, the President shall nominate a person to fill the vacancy, and the National Assembly shall vote on the nomination within 60 days after receiving it. Okelo Mwalimu, if it's true that someone wanted to poison former DP and has evidence, then a stern action must be taken. However, if it's just an allegation, then the law must take its course. Leaders must be very cautious about what they say or do, lest we find ourselves in a precipice.
Precisely.
Daniel, you say, the reality is the relationship between the president and the deputy is repairable. Let Gachagua just go home. Impeachment is a political process, and that's what exactly happened. Sawe, Kenyans printers, just like political class, are very efficient when it's about them, but things do not, but things to do with Mwananchi, they take their sweet time. Sad. So next one to get lawyers interpret for us the weight of the word within in the context of the DP's impeachment process, where, for instance, it's mentioned what should happen within 60 days. Can the process start after the first few seconds of the 60 days? Efokango, the term vote in Article 149 indicates that the decision is majoritarian, requiring a majority of members of the National Assembly to either approve or reject the nomination. Again, you said Article 149 emphasizes the importance of filling the office of the Deputy President swiftly and democratically, ensuring the continuous functioning of the executive branch with proper checks and balances between the executive and the legislature. Senator, well, this is a guy who is campaigning for 2027. For President Ruto to nominate the new Deputy President, he required IBC commissioners and the chairperson to be in office. Musili Masila, shambolic, chaotic, or whatever manner the process of impeachment was conducted, but fundamentally, are there shreds of elements within the 11 grounds of impeachment that were tabled that warrant for impeachment of DP Gachagua? They're asking a question. Jim Rose, you're saying the impeachment of DP is unconstitutional. The number of days to fully impeach the DP are well put in the Constitution. Why the hurry? And Engineer Lazaro, let justice be a shield as per our national anthem. Otherwise, Gachagua's case is mainly political. Courts may not have much impact over his tribulations. The current court session is just creating harvesting season for lawyers. Interesting feedback this morning. Now, Rigathi Gachagua had an opportunity to comment about the nominee deputy president. Watch.
The framers of the 2010 Constitution wanted a deputy president who is elected as a buffer who can stand for the people. The charity we are being treated for, too, is get rid of an elected deputy president and appoint a control freak. A fellow you appoint who cannot ask a question, who cannot say anything. And I'm sure if they succeed, he'll be asked to sign an undated resignation letter so that in case he starts asking questions, he can just be told to resign.
Now, first of all, the meaning of a control freak is totally different from what the deputy president, or rather what impeached deputy president wants to mean. So where do we go from here?
But can I say something?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, with a lot of respect, our former deputy president to remember our former vice president, George Saitoti. George Saitoti, when he realized everything was done the way it was done, he stood up and said, there comes a time when the country is more important than the person. That statement is a very powerful statement that comes from a person who has been in office many times and knows how these things work. You know, I referred to the way, you know, the rules, the unwritten rules of politics, just like the unwritten rules of lawyers, that I will always respect someone who signed the role of advocates before me, always. But in the rules of politics, a chairman of a committee may be junior to me politically, as in, for example, like let's take the best example in Senate is Oburu Odinga.
Right.
Oburu Odinga, senator for Siaya, has been elected 8 times. And we lovingly refer to him as the chairman of the youth. In fact, the other day we were celebrating his birthday. And you see the demeanor of Oburu and myself, because I'm also a pretty old man now. Yeah. When we go to the committee of energy where we serve together, the senator who is chairing is a first-time senator. He's never been elected before. So politically speaking, he's junior to us. But we respect, because there's positional authority. We respect that authority. So we bow down. When we are leaving the chamber, we bow. When he's chairing, we bow down because that is an office. You know, when we sit there, we respectfully refer to him as chair. And he's junior to us. Now, Rigathi Gachagua served only 1 term. He was neither a vice chair, he was neither a chairman. Even 1 term. He finished 1 term and became a leader, a positional authority. So we will respect him because we have our unwritten rules. You see, we will respect him. Yes. But he's neither a party leader, he was neither elected, and he only served, elected as president, and he only served 1 term. So sincerely speaking, if we sat with other leaders and we had to choose, we would choose the senior person to take that position. Let me tell you, and I'm saying this with a lot of respect, that if it was even Mahanzo, who has been elected many times, who was in that position, even if it is somebody like Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, who has been in power, or Oburu Odinga, who has been in many positions, they would never talk back at the president, talk the language of division, like the way our gentleman used to speak. And this whole impeachment, remember, was just about him standing all the time saying, First when, and I'm on record, when the story broke out that he's fighting for 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 man, 1 shilling, I went and I spoke about it. And I was very annoyed because I felt Tana River was being excluded. And he had started very well. He used to be going here. Then he started 1 man, 1 shilling. And I felt, no, there's a problem here. And we spoke about it. I saw that one went back. Then, all of a sudden, he started championing about 1 region. And some of us felt excluded. And we asked the question, do we, people of the coast, also look for a deputy president to defend the rights of the people from the water areas? Do the people of Rift Valley also look for someone to defend the rights of the people in the Bonde la Ufa? Do the people in Northeastern also look for a person to defend the rights of the semi-desert areas? It's not right. So, and I know, kama ni mtu ambaye amekaa, some of these problems will not be having. So me, I'm just urging that don't take us through this drama. The country has had enough of this. Make a decision to let go.
All right.
The Professor George Saitoti said there comes a time when the country is bigger than an individual.
All right.
I urge him to think about some of those things.
All right. And we are closing. So, Honorable Jerry, as you continue.
Sami, you can't say that just when you ask to respond to
just about 9 minutes.
First,
but carry on.
I'd want to understand from my colleagues at the Senate. They purport to indicate that they vacated acting in line with the Constitution in regard to the impeachment process. Then which standing order were they referring to in regard to the time constraints? Because I have seen it being debated. And are they telling us that the Senate decided to vacate the Constitution? In regard to the Deputy President, I think it is also very clear that we understand, because we have seen previous impeachments that have been nullified by the courts. And the courts have already indicated that they do have jurisdiction to hear the matter and declare any impeachment null and void ab initio. Let us respect the rule of law. Let us not speak from a point of impunity, because we can all be candidates, like I have said. Sam Gituku, if you're not aware, there's recently I was summoned by the DCI. I had also been summoned apparently to prevent me perhaps from participating in the public participation process. In regard to the Deputy President position, it is not an appointive position. The previous constitution, the Vice President acted at the will of the president. The reason we have the 2010 constitution in place, and I already said when I started, it is no longer about Rigathi Gachagua. It is about upholding the rule of law, due process, and ensuring whether the judiciary is either going to uphold the constitution or suspend it.
Interesting. And it's important you mentioned that there's been impeachment situations that have been overturned, including the Wajir governor, I think in 2022, was overturned by the High Court on the question of not involving the people.
And some upheld, right?
Yeah.
Like they waited.
Exactly. Also Mike Sonko. Your closing remarks. Where do we go from here?
We as a country have again demonstrated that we have no peers in the region. Kenya is one country in the region that I think so far has successfully presidential election has been nullified. And today we are here again discussing an impeachment of a deputy president. It shows how our democracy has matured. And elected leaders should not sit pretty anymore, because the counter checking by several provisions of the Constitution on individuals and institutions is becoming extremely vibrant, and I really must applaud the country for that milestone. On the issue of the deputy president, I think for me, in my view, it's finished. We move on to the new deputy president, Kithure Kindiki. Let us unify the country.
What if the process is overturned by the...
I said in my view.
In his view, it can be overturned.
It can be overturned. But in my view, I have said, we start focusing on the new deputy president. Let's focus on now working for the people of this country. And I hope...
When do you foresee him getting sworn in? Because for him to be, he has to be sworn in.
He has to be. I'm saying, I hope the courts find that, he was the former deputy president was properly impeached, and it is constitutional to have the.
That may take time, you know.
That's what I'm saying. I am really praying. That's my statement.
That
I have said.
up to 2027.
But
I thought it was 10 a.m. today. I have seen that circulating on social media platforms.
I don't work on rumor, and I'm not a lawyer, but I don't want to anticipate what the role will rule.
So just before we finish, once whatever decision is made by the High Court or the courts, how soon does Professor Kithure Kindiki get one?
If the court dispense of this matter today, and they approve, they set aside the orders by the two judges, then in my view, assumption of office committee should take over immediately and have the impeachment done as soon as possible.
There's an assumption committee for a deputy president?
Yes. There is. That is the president.
Yeah, in regard to...
There is.
The
assumption of office committee for the deputy president. I thought it only exists for the
president. They both work for the president.
Both of them, the presidency is joined.
So in my view, that should take over immediately. I've kept my red tie waiting. I was actually to travel. We're on recess. I should be in my constituency now. Yeah. But I've been crossing my fingers. So my suit and my red tie, my black shoes are waiting.
So waiting for it anytime?
Yes.
Senator Manzo, in closing.
Yes, I just want to say about the speech of the president, about the unity of the country. That should be the ideal position. Unfortunately, politicians have done double speak. When they speak in public, they say we should be united, there should be no tribalism, but in the real practice, the government is practicing tribalism and regionalism and exclusion. And again, also, when it comes to the issue of the Deputy President Gachagua, he has spilled the beans. He has said that there were efforts to kill him, there are efforts to keep him unsecure. I want to say that all former deputy presidents or vice presidents have protocols, even former prime minister. There's an act of parliament which gives them protocols, even first lady. And therefore, when it comes to their security, they should be secured. Even if you have been dismissed or impeached, you must still continue enjoy those privileges, including your benefits. And therefore, first of all, we want to appreciate the courts, and we believe the courts will do justice and give the proper interpretations. And if one party is not satisfied with the other, we go up to the highest court, and this matter goes up to the Supreme Court. So we want to see justice be done, and we want justice done so that if the National Assembly and the Senate erred in law and in what they were doing, and if it is anality, then let it be so. And the country must also learn to live with that. And then finally, I want to ask a question. In 2020, in 2012, actually 2013, there was a co-presidency sort of situation between President Ruto and then President Uhuru Kenyatta. That has been the practice. Currently, the Honorable Gachagua, the Deputy President, has been like a co-president of the President. And that's why he's talking about people cannot correct the President at all or give an idea to the President. I really want to say that this process, all of it should be relooked. And we want justice for the country.
All right, you've said some interesting things towards the end, but unfortunately time is out for us. But Honorable Coach, when was Professor Kindiki supposed to be sworn in? Why there not to be any court order?
When is today? Today is...
Today's Tuesday.
Yeah, so when did we take when did the Senate...
the decision by the Senate was on Thursday, the National Assembly was Friday.
So it should have been on Monday, I think. Should have been... No, it should have been today.
Today?
Yeah. Or Saturday.
Or last week on Saturday?
Yes.
When did the Assumption of Office Committee meet?
It's always a committee that is on standby. It doesn't take long to form. I'm sure even now, immediately they saw the processes in the Senate, you have to prepare for any eventuality.
Was there any communication to that effect?
I'm not sure. I will assume.
They're very efficient. When it comes to government
issues to do with Deputy President,
I'm asking that because...
on issues to do with the development,
and health,
nothing is happening in the country.
Because I'm asking that because the law talks about assumption of office of President, and the committee is detailed on what should happen, including a representative of the President-elect. It doesn't speak about
The deputy president or deputy, deputy governors.
Maybe I'm stretching that imagination.
I think it's assumed as a matter of practice. It's assumed.
It applies para materia.
It doesn't apply. It doesn't apply.
Okay.
Head of state and head of a county, those offices are different from the deputies.
All right. But even though the Act says that the provisions of this Act shall apply with necessary modification to the assumption of the office of President by the Deputy President, it still doesn't talk about
it. It's a grey area
for
subject to interpretation.
President. In fact, it only says in Section 16 that inauguration speech, the President shall, upon the swearing in of the Deputy President-elect, give an inauguration speech to the nation.
But it provides time of swearing in.
Yes, by, I think...
Between 10 and, I think, 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
Yeah.
And
so it means then...
But all the same, it has to be in public.
If the court dispense of this matter today, then I will expect that Professor shall be sworn in tomorrow at exactly 10.
The Deputy President shall take and subscribe to the oath of affirmation or of allegiance and oath or affirmation for the execution of the functions of office in accordance with Article 148 of the Constitution, which should be in the presence of the CJ or DCJ and in public. That sounds like adequate communication to the public should also happen, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it were the courts were to dispense of this matter today, tomorrow at exactly 10 a.m. we shall...
The government printer is ready.
All right. Now, we
Around
are
the
not
clock.
done. We are not done. We still have time to 10 a.m. We're just taking a short break here. I understand that the court should be meeting this morning to consider that matter. So stay tuned for that. We'll be back shortly with this.